Okay, to start my search, I'm going to go to the Murphy Library website, and I'm going to click on this link here. This says databases by title. There are a couple ways to get to the database lists, and this is just one of them and probably the quickest. So I click on title there, and then I'll see a variety of database choices. They are alphabetized, so you can find them by subject or by name. And also, it's good to know that databases are essentially a archive of different sources depending on whatever the database is. And the host for many of them might be ProQuest, it might be EBSCOhost. That's just whoever is publishing or hosting that specific database. So I'm going to start by searching on Academic Search Complete, which is the second one on this list. The reason I like to start there is because, as it says, it searches a wide variety of sources, including more than 8,500 full-text periodicals, which includes over 7,000 peer-reviewed scholarly journals. Peer-reviewed means that when someone, for example, like me, would want to submit an article that I've written for publication to this journal, I send it to the journal. The editor then sends it to 2, 3, 4 different peers in my field to review the article and make suggestions for what should happen to the article. Should it be rejected completely, and for what reasons? Should it be revised and resubmitted, and what revisions need to be made, or accepted as is for publication? That's what it means. So it doesn't mean that they have people on staff writing articles. It means that scholars in a specific field are doing research and submitting the articles to this journal, and the articles are being reviewed by a group of peers and experts in that field and determining whether they're credible and rigorous research and that kind of thing. So that's one way to know whether the source that you have is credible. Is it peer reviewed? So I'm going to go here and click on Academic Search Complete. It'll take me here because I'm off campus. Most of you are probably off campus right now. Follow the instructions for you to log in. Click Submit. Okay, so once I logged in successfully, I am taken to this place. Now, remember, this is EBSCOhost, which is the company that is hosting this database called Academic Search Complete. Academic Search Complete and EBSCOhost are two different things. Just keep that in mind. Sometimes that is confusing for students. I just want to make that clear. Now, I'm going to search Academic Search Complete. If you feel like you want to add additional databases to search, you can click on this option here, Choose Databases, but for now I'm going to stick with this just to keep things simple. My search topic that I'm going to be using here is online education in higher education, so online education in college. That's just a broad search term, and it'll give me a variety of search items, and then I can narrow it down to show you a few things that you can do. So some of the terms that I'm going to use here will be, let's see, online education and higher education. Now I could put college there if I want, but I'm going to start with higher education to see what I would get. I also know that I'm probably going to get results related to MOOCs. Those are massive open online courses, and that's not what I'm interested in. So I'm going to limit my search. I'm going to choose this option and go to not, because I want to remove MOOC from the results. If I wanted to add items, I could click this plus here and add additional items here, but I'm just going to start with this. I'm not going to touch anything here because I want to show you what I would get if I were to just search for those items. I'm going to click search Sometimes if you hit enter, it deletes these and it just clears it out, so it's just better to click search. So I have over 1,200 results, which is just too many for me to deal with here. So what I'm going to do is go over here on the left. You'll see ways to refine your results. I only want full text results. I don't want to have to deal with finding things that are not available to me online. That narrowed it down quite a bit to 768 results. That's still too many for me. I want to limit this to scholarly peer-reviewed journals. This is very important. If you don't click this, you're probably going to get a lot of results also from trade journals, which are specific to a certain professional trade, and also popular sources like Time Magazine, Popular Science, and that kind of thing. You want to click on scholarly peer-reviewed. That brought it down to 353. Still probably too many. A good range is 100 and 150 or so at the most. So I'm going to change my publication date. The newer ones are going to be more relevant, especially with a topic like online education. If I were looking for the history of online education, then older ones would be relevant, but that's not what I'm interested in. So I'm going to drag this thing over, or I could type in a date to 2008 to 2014. 230 results. Well, I could do a couple things here. I could remove the book reviews. So I could just do academic journals. Because I'm not interested in book reviews. That's 223. There's a couple other things I could do. I could pull the date over a bit more. 109. Good. Okay. So I got quite a few results here. There were a couple things that I did to narrow it down from over 1,000 results to 100. Now what I wanted to see here, if there's anything on here that I'm interested in, I'm personally interested in effective teaching for online education. So let's say I want to read the article called Effective Online Instruction in Higher Education. I notice, first of all, without even clicking on that, that it's in a journal called the Quarterly Review of Distance Education. It's an academic journal, and I have full text access. So if I click on Effective Online Instruction in Higher Education, it will take me to this page, which will give me more information. First of all, again, I have full text here, and then I have all of this information. If you want to find ways to identify other search terms, a good way to do that is to look at the subject terms that they have listed here. So I could also look for web-based instruction, higher education, post-secondary education, teaching methods, online courses, distance education. The abstract of the article is here, which is really nice. That will give me a description of a summary of what the article is about. And it says, this is nice, the author actually wrote this abstract. Sometimes the journals will actually write the abstract themselves, not the author, so that's something you want to be aware of. So this says, online education has emerged as an effective and increasingly common alternative to face-to-face instruction in post-secondary education. This article is a summary of effective practices and online instructional methods, including course design and interaction among course participants, and instructor preparation and support. Okay, so there are a couple things I'm getting from this. That the article is a summary of effective teaching practices. I'm unsure as to whether this person has actually done some original research and is basing these suggestions for effective practices on that research or what. So I'm going to have to obviously go and read the article to figure that out. But before I do that, I want to point out a few things here. The authors' names are listed. Most of the information you'll need for a citation will be here. If it's not, it'll obviously be on the article. You have the authors' names. There are 2 authors. The journal title, not the article title, the journal title is right here. It's the Quarterly Review of Distance Education. If I wanted to find more articles from that journal, I could click on this and it would take me to that archive. This was published in spring 2012. the volume is number 13. Volume would be just the collection of issues, single issues that are published within that year. And then this is issue 1 of however many issues are published in this volume. It might be 4 that come out that year. And it is pages 11 through 14. It's 4 pages. It's pretty short, which means it's 4 pages long. That tells me that it's probably not a research-based article. So I'm going to click on PDF full text. And depending on what your browser looks like, it might look like this. Again, the abstract is there. You'll notice when you start reading these articles that they all will probably have a similar structure. There's usually the title. Some of the journal information might be down at the bottom or up at the top. So if you still need more information about the journal for the citation, it'll probably be on these pages somewhere, like down here. They usually start out with the abstract again. Sometimes they'll have keywords under the abstract, which can also help you with search terms. Start out with an introduction. And then this one directly goes into different approaches. And they're probably getting these approaches from other people's research as opposed to doing their own, as opposed to talking about research that they've done. Which means that I was right. Okay, so this is relatively short. It might give me some tips on how to do better online teaching. However, it is giving me some interesting sources that I might look for. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I like this article. I want to save it. There's a couple things you can do to save these. It's really important that you actually save either the full text article to your computer. You can email the summary, the article, the citation information to yourself with this email link. You can create an account in EBSCO and save it to your personal folder, or you can save permalink, which is right here. If you click on that, it'll take you to the link. Now, if I were to just save this link that's up here, I don't know, I doubt that this is... Yeah, I doubt that this link is the permalink. So if I were to save that and then just close this and then tomorrow try to go to this link that's up here, it's probably going to be a dead link. It's not a link, really. You want this permalink, and that's with this. But just for my own purposes, I just prefer to save things. Depending on if you're using a Mac or a PC, you save it in different ways. But usually there's going to be a little floppy disk, a little remnant of the past that you want to click on. And I'm going to save this to, I want to change this title. I don't want this random number because I'm not going to know what that is. So usually I'll put the author's name or the article title, effective online education practices. And then I will save that so that I have the PDF and I can open it from my computer whenever I want. Okay, so I want to look for one of these articles that is in here. How I'm going to do that is I'm going to show you how to use Google Scholar for searching for full text articles when you actually have the whole title. You can also do that in the database, but this is another nice way to use Google Scholar. Okay, so you can find any of these articles, you can try to find them, using Google Scholar and looking for the article title. So let's say I am interested in this article by Ward, Peters, and Shelley. The article is called Student and Faculty Perceptions of the Quality of Online Learning Experiences, published in this journal in 2010. So I go to Google Scholar, paste that article title in here, and I click search. Now, I'll notice that there's a couple things in here. This is the article. It's there. And it's an HTML file, and it's at this link. So I click on that. It looks to be actually an open access journal which is interesting. That means that it's open to anyone. That doesn't mean that it's not a credible journal. It's refereed, which means that it's probably peer-reviewed in some way. You can tell by it's reviewed. There's reviewers. You could tell, double-click, by looking for something on a journal's website. If you click on About, it'll talk about peer review process, how often they're published, and that kind of thing. So if you want to double-check about the journal's credibility, look for something that says About on their website. Anyway, so for this article, if I want to read this, I can read it on the website, or I can click on this print version, and I can open PDF and preview and save this article and read it here. You'll notice that this article is a little different than the other one because it's published from a different publisher, a different journal. They have an abstract here. I'll notice, first of all, that they actually did a research study. They aren't just talking about tips like the other article. This one actually talks about a research that these authors did. They also include some keywords, so I might find that some of these keywords could help me find other articles. They use an introduction, they describe their study, the background that they're using, their theoretical framework, so how are they looking at this issue. And then they're talking about their theoretical background, the methods they use, so what did they do, who did they look at, what are the results they got. And some tables, and then discussion, which is where they make sense of those results. They talk about conclusions that they might make based on those results, as well as future research ideas. Future study is warranted. That means that they found, based on the results, other research studies, such as what they talk about here, need to be done. There's references here that I might find I want to look for. So let's say I want to look for let's see, if I want to look for an article, some of these are books. You can tell by the way they're cited. For example, this is a book. You'll also notice that this article is using APA style as opposed to MLA because they don't use the full first names. The date of publication is here as opposed to the end, as a few other items here are a little bit different. Let's say I want to find this article, The Design and Sequencing of E-Learning Interactions, a Grounded Approach. It's from 2002, so that's a little old, but it'll be a good example. I'm going to copy that title, and I'm going to go back to Google Scholar, paste the title in here, and see what I get. Okay, so it showed up. I got a PDF here. I don't know if I'll be able to get it or not, but if I click on that and wait, okay, it's going to take me here. This is interesting. It wants me to purchase or subscribe, which indicates to me that UWL may not subscribe to this since I am logged in. This is a good example for me to use for you because I'm going to go back to the library's databases and I'm going to search for that article title. I'm going to delete my search term. Yeah, I'll do a new search. Okay, I'm going to paste the article title in there. I'm going to select a field. I'm going to choose a title. That's what I'm searching for. I'm going to click search, and no results were found. That means that we don't subscribe to this journal, therefore I cannot access it. So that is a limitation. However, there are many other articles and research that I can use to my benefit. I'm not too worried about that because that one was an older article. So yeah, that is one way to use Google Scholar. Let's say I wanted to do just kind of a basic search like I did in the databases, and I can show you the kinds of things that might come up. So let's say I do online education plus, let's see, student success plus higher education. Let's see. All right, I got a variety of things here. About 987,000 results. A lot of stuff going on here. That's almost too much for me to even want to think about. I might look through some of these, and I might go through a couple different pages. The thing is, I think just to save myself some time, I'll probably stick to the library databases and use Google Scholar if I have a much better focus on what I'm looking for, like if I actually had a title. So those are some ways to use the databases and Google Scholar. Okay, I'm going to show you how to cite one of the articles that I found using MLA and Writer's Help. So I've logged into Writer's Help. I'm going to look for information on how to cite a journal article that I found on a database. So you'll notice when you're in Writer's Help, there's a couple things to look for. There's this table of contents on the left with these expanding sections. So wherever you see a plus sign, you click on that and it expands. If you see a minus sign, it will minimize. So things expand, then expand, and so on. You can minimize them to minimize your screen. So I'm going to go down here to MLA Papers. And I'm going to click the little plus so that I can see the options that it gives me. I'm looking for a list of works cited and how to cite articles for a list of works cited, which is the list of sources that's included at the end of a research paper. In text is different. We're looking for works cited. So, how to cite articles in periodicals. I'm not citing a book. I'm not citing a government legal source or personal communications or any of these other things. I am citing an article in a periodical. I'm not citing a monthly magazine or a newspaper. I am citing an article from a database because I found it on a database. So I'm going to click on that. Now, this is going to give me a couple examples. It will give me this example, and then this example, and this example, and they're all slightly different. The show me, if you click on that, it will explain the formatting that's involved here. You'll see that the last name is first, there's a comma, first name, a period. The article title uses this kind of capitalization. If you use APA, it's a little bit different. For MLA, it's like this, with quotation marks and the period on the inside. The journal title is italicized. There's a space, the volume, the period, and then the issue number, a space, the years in parentheses. There's a colon, not a semicolon, a colon, 2 dots. The page numbers with a period, and then the database name in italics, another period, the medium we found it on, the web, period, and then the date on which I accessed it. You'll note that you don't need the URL anymore. MLA no longer requires URLs because they feel that this information is enough. I'm fine with this information, however, other instructors may not be. They may want you to use a URL, so just make sure you ask your instructor his or her preference. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to leave this up as a model for when I write my citation. I'm going to close that. I have a Word document opened, and then I'm going to find my article where I had saved it. Screen's too small for all of these things. Okay. So when I open a Word file, I don't really like the defaults, just personally. I like to make the margins 1 inch on all 4 sides. Change the font if you want. It's 12 points, that's fine. Whatever MLA says is usually what I would go by. Works cited page. Works cited. Works, not work. It's works. Cited. Highlight. If you put that in the center, that is centered. Actually, the whole works cited page should be double spaced. Hit enter. And then the citations are left justified. They only have one citation. We're not going to worry about alphabetizing them, but the more citations, if you have more than one citation, they should all be alphabetized by the last name on the list there. You list the authors within the citation based on how they're listed in the article. So I got to start with those last names. We have Crawford, Ferry, comma, Heather, Glynn, comma, oh, this example here is giving me a one author name, and I think for MLA, for MLA it's going to be either an and, the word and, or an ampersand. So I'm going to look for an example that tells me exactly how to cite an article with more than one author. From here I can click on Directory to MLA Works Cited Models, or I can click on Article Basic Format, or I could possibly look around here and see if they have any general guidelines for listing authors. I click on that and it'll tell me the different instances I might have. First, one author, two or three, four or more, a corporate author, which would be a company, like let's say Apple authored something that you were citing. An unknown author, two or more works by the same author, that's important too. So I have an article with two or three authors, so I'm going to click on that. Alright, so what it does is, first author, that's what I was going to do, comma, the word and then the next person, spelled, or using their first name and then their last name. So it's a little confusing. I have two authors, I think. Yep, two authors. So I'm going to have to use this format. Now if I had three authors, it would be like this. But I don't. I have two. So last name, comma, first name, middle name, comma, the word and, first name, last name, period. Sometimes to save me some grief, I'll just copy the example. So I have so many windows open. Hit enter down a little bit just to leave it there so that I don't forget what I'm doing. I'll hit and, I'll type in and then Linda R. Weist, period. Alright. Okay. I have a space, and then I have in quotations, effective online instruction in. The word in is lowercase because it's not a major word. Higher education, period, quotation mark, space. The journal title. I have to scroll down here to find the title of the journal, which is at the bottom. It's the Quarterly Review of Distance Education. So that is in italics. Quarterly Review of Distance Education. Space. Now I need the volume, period, and the issue number. The volume is 13. The issue is 1. So, oops, 13, period 1, space. The year is 2012. The page numbers are 11 through 14, period. The database I found it on was Academic Search Complete. And I remember if I want to check that, I go back to this and I look up here. I looked for it. I found it on Academic Search Complete. That is the database. The database is not EBSCOhost. Database is Academic Search Complete. EBSCOhost publishes and hosts multiple databases. Do not put EBSCOhost here. Put a period, a space, the word web, which tells me I found it on the web, period, space. and then the date in which I found it, which is 14 June 2015. 14, woo, jumping to your head, period. Okay, if you have a month that's more than 4 letters, it needs to be abbreviated. Their example here is November, so they have NOV, period. Okay, now with this Works Cited page, we are not done yet because I need a hanging indent. So I can select all, go up here to paragraph, and I click on line spacing, and I go to line spacing options, and I choose under special hanging, and I hope this works, and it did. That's what I want. If I start a new citation under this one, I don't hit extra lines, it's all just double spaced. This hanging indent indicates to me that the stuff here is part of this citation. So that when I start a new one, it starts flush left.